guys, it's Katie from Life Beyond the Berg. If you're new here, welcome. I'm one half of Life Beyond the Berg. The other half is made up of my boyfriend Dan, and together we travel as much as possible, live a life of adventure, and also are full-time college students and work full-time jobs. So we're not your normal people here on YouTube or on Instagram that do travel information. We're very different because we don't have a lot of money, we don't have a lot of time, and we don't have any sponsors. So we're here today to talk about all the different ways that we try to save money when we travel because we don't have a lot of it to spend. School full-time and we work full-time jobs, we work hard to live a life of adventure, and we've been able to up our travel in the past year from 2 weeks last year to 2 months this year. So we're really proud of that, and it's been a lot of hard work, and we're here to share our tips on how to do that yourself. So top 10 tips. Number 1 is just to work on your savings. So if you're saving money, there's a few different ways that you can save more money. Our biggest recommendation is cutting out on the food you eat out. So one thing that we struggle with is going on date nights or packing lunches for work. So we try to pack as much as possible for lunch and dinner if we're out for dinner, and if we're not, we try to make our date nights at home and save money by planning out our meals and eating them home cooked, because it saves you a ton of money, and that money can be used for your travels. We also save money by saving our change. So believe it or not, your change can really add up. So saving every penny and nickel and dime and quarter can really make a big difference. And I think in the last 6 months I've saved up all our coins and I've turned it in for like $150 or $200, and that can make a big difference in your travels. Could be a stay in an Airbnb or a plane ticket even, so that can really help. And then the other tip would be to do some different ways of creatively saving money. So whether that be putting $1 in your jar every day, or maybe every time you get change and you get a $5 bill, putting that in a jar, or just putting a certain amount a month as like a travel bill and putting that into a different account. So all of those things can really help you save money, and the more money you save, the better you can spend money on travel. Tip number 2 is to stop giving or receiving gifts. So this is a big one that Dan and I advocate for, because as great as it is to get a new pair of earrings or a new necklace, great memories last much longer. And so that's something that we find really important and that we try to do as much as possible. So instead of birthday gifts, we usually get money, we give each other money for trips, or we take an adventure weekend for our 2 birthdays combined. And the same thing goes for Christmas and our anniversary. So this year we have a huge trip coming up, both our birthdays, Christmas, our anniversary is all going to be combined as part of our trip. But in years past, when we didn't have a lot of money or time to travel, or we didn't travel as much as we are this year, we would do things like a weekend trip or going to a concert or some kind of fun activity for our birthdays. And then for Christmas, we did a trip to Vermont one year, we did a trip to New York City the other year. So like things like that where they're not too far from home, not too expensive. We still cooked our own food when we stayed in Airbnbs in both New York and Vermont, and it was just nice to have some quality time and memories together. And we didn't get each other gifts, we worked on traveling more as our gifts, and it's been super valuable to us and really meaningful. And so we don't really get each other gifts anymore, we always do something adventurous, travel related. Usually we put that money towards a trip that we're going to be going on in the future. This year that trip is in December. And as far as receiving gifts, we usually try to do the same thing with when family members are asking what we want for Christmas or our birthdays or things. We find a piece of a trip that they can pay for that gives them the value of not getting us a gift card or money. So for example, if we're going on some kind of excursion on our trip, going to a museum or some kind of activity, we'll be like, you can pay for this activity, here's how much it costs. Either they can give us the money or they can buy us the tickets, something like that. or this year we're going abroad in December, and so I think our parents are going to help us pay our phone bill and get us backpacks and things like that, that those costs can add up. But when family members can help you out, it saves you a lot of the cost of the different things that go along with the trip. Last year our parents got us tent and different camping supplies for us to go on our cross-country trip last summer. So those are things that can really help you save money by having other people get you gifts that revolve around your travels or save you costs of traveling in the future. Tip number 3 is going to be to travel in the off season. So when you're thinking about planning a trip and you decide where you want to go, consider going somewhere. If you pick your time of year that you can travel, consider going somewhere where that's the off season for that place. Or if you have a location in mind, try to travel in the location's off season, as long as it's not going to deter your trip. So for example, if you're going to a beach, you obviously want to go when you can go in the water. But if you're going to cities or towns or something like that where you can get away with maybe going in the winter, you're going to save a ton of money on flights, on hotels, on activities, and you're also not going to have to worry about as many lines or things like that. You're not going to need the line saver passes or things like that, because you're going to be going when it's going to be less busy and you're going to get a more authentic experience. 4 is going to be, don't go to the most famous places. So my big examples are going to be places like the Maldives or Bora Bora or any of these tropical island resorts that are so well known, that are so costly. Like, there are tons of places that you can go that are just as beautiful and just as meaningful, and you can get these really authentic experiences for less money. So consider changing up your trip and finding somewhere either local to you that might cost you way less to go to, or somewhere foreign but that's not like that #1 place that every Instagrammer goes, or that you need to stay in a resort, because those places are going to cost you a lot more money than going somewhere with just as many beautiful places, beautiful things to do, things to see, that is a little more off the grid or less well known, because that's going to be a money saver for you and you're still going to have a great time full of adventure. 5 is going to be scheduling your trips in advance and making sure to budget. So when you're budgeting out your trip, you want to make sure you plan ahead of time how much you can afford to spend, how that budget can be broken down into the different pieces of your trip, and then make sure you stick to that budget. And one way that really helps you do that is by planning your trip very far in advance, being able to do more research and figure out better exactly how you can find a hotel that meets your budget, how you can find an activity that meets your budget, and also the farther you book in advance, the cheaper things are. So plane tickets go up, train tickets go up, hotels go up, everything like that. The closer you get to your destination and the closer you get to the day of your trip, the more money you're going to have to spend. But if you book 6 months out, 9 months out, you're going to get the cheapest fares, and you're also going to get to pay for them over a longer period of time. So we're booking a month-long trip for December. We're paying for it now in June, and we're paying for it slowly. So we booked 5 days of our stay. We booked this much of your activities, you book this much of that, and then you pay for that in June. And then in July we'll pay the next piece, and we'll pay the next piece in August, and that will really help us to break down that cost and not feel like we're spending so much money at one time. Bonus of this video is that if you stick around to the end, you go over to our Instagram, you're going to be able to get a special free gift, and that gift is going to help you with your budgeting and staying on track and allowing you to travel more. So stay tuned for that. Number 6 is going to be stay in cheaper housing. So one of the biggest costs of your trip is going to be where you stay during that trip, and there's a lot of options that are absurdly expensive, and there's a lot of options that are really cheap. So if you stay in a hostel, or you stay in an Airbnb, or you go camping, you're going to save a lot more money than if you stay in a regular hotel or a resort. So on our cross-country trip, Dan and I stayed in a tent a lot, and it was an incredible experience. We had so many memories in our tent. It was something new and fun for us, and it really provided us with the best views and some awesome friendships and people that we met. Whereas staying in hotels that whole time would have provided us with the same experience on that trip. And on this new trip we're going on in December, we're going to get to see a lot of the cities in hostels and Airbnbs, and that is also going to provide us with a different experience. Also, along with housing, it can be really important to look for housing where you can cook yourself. So Airbnbs, hostels, and tenting, you can oftentimes cook your own food, and that can save you a lot of money as well. Side note, for the most adventurous, there's also something called couch surfing. It's an app you can get where you can go and stay on people's houses, or in people's houses on their couches, oftentimes for free. This is not something that Dan and I do, mostly because we're a couple and we want to stay together. But if that's something you're interested in, it's a way to really travel for cheap. So keep that in mind as well. Number 7 is going to be do your research. So it can be really exciting when you're first planning a trip and you're going to want to just book what you see, especially the most beautiful things, and you're just going to want to go. But I encourage you to take the time to do your research, compare your flights, compare your stays, and you'll find a much better deal that way. So when I booked our flight out of the US, I was able to move our flight by 1 day and change our airport, which is 20 minutes farther away, and save like $300. And that is a lot of money that could be used for something else or put back in our pockets. And so by doing that research and using something like Google Flights, I was able to save a ton of money. So go on Google Flights, check out different days, check out different airports, check out different amounts of stops, things like that, and you can save yourself a lot of money. Sometimes the same thing can be true with hotels. If you look and you see, oh, I can use my AAA discount here, I can use a student discount here, and like, how can I save the most money? So taking the few minutes extra to look at a few different options can really help you save a ton of money in the end on almost every aspect of a trip. Number 7 is to take the path less traveled. So when you're traveling, it's going to be tempting to just go to all the iconic places, things that are the most touristy, because they're touristy for a reason. But oftentimes the best secrets are off the beaten path. So for example, when we were out west, we wanted to go see some hot springs, something interesting to do, but a lot of the hot spring spas are incredibly expensive. It would have cost us $100 for the day or even more, and instead Dan did some extra research and we went to the least known place. It was called Mystic Hot Springs, and it was this little tiny place. I was nervous, it seemed off the beaten path, it didn't seem popular, it seemed a little strange, but it was $10 for the day. And we got to go and soak in bathtubs that had the hot spring water running into it, and it was so beautiful there. Post some pictures in here, and it really made our experience so much better. We got to talk to some locals, and that made our experience 100 times better than if we had gone to a spa that used the hot spring water and cost us $100 for the day. So take the path that's less traveled, try to find something unique, something less popular, maybe something that locals recommend, and you're gonna really see a different side of the town and probably just like have such a more memorable experience. Number 9 is going to be minimalistic on your trip. So my first part about being minimalistic is to pack light, and that allows you to pack in a carry-on suitcase. So if you're flying, packing in a carry-on allows you not to pay any extra fees, and that can save you a ton of money, especially over a longer period of time where you're going on multiple trips. So pack light, pack in a carry-on suitcase. It'll also allow you to be able to walk more, so if you need to walk 2 miles to your hotel instead of taking an Uber, that can save you the money of an Uber or a taxi, and that over time adds up to a lot of money that you can save. So pack light, carry on small, and allow yourself the freedom to just put all your crap on your back and go wherever you need to go. The second part of that is going to be being minimal with what you buy while you're in the places you are. So souvenirs are great, they're important for some people, but for us, we try to avoid them. We always buy a keychain wherever we are, whatever country or city we're in, so that we can give them to our nephews, and they get put on these keychains, and they're a great way for us to look back and remember as well. But other than that, we never go to touristy places that sell t-shirts with the name of where you're at on them or anything like that, because they're just going to end up in your closet piled away and not really giving you the memories that you need from a place. So we choose to get our souvenirs through pictures and videos, things like this, and then we also will once in a while get something from a boutique or something meaningful that will help us remember the trip and really like add to whatever it is. So sometimes I'll buy a piece of jewelry from somewhere, inexpensive jewelry that's like handcrafted or something like that, or a really beautiful piece of clothing that's authentic to where we are, but we don't buy the touristy crap that they sell that's overpriced because you're a tourist and you're going to buy things like that. So we don't recommend buying a lot of souvenirs. It can save you a lot of money on your trip as well. Our 10th thing is eat less meals out. So we try to find somewhere to stay where we can get breakfast for free, or we can cook our own breakfast. Hostels and Airbnbs oftentimes don't include breakfast, although the hostels we're staying at so far on our trip we planned for December do include breakfast. Any hotel we stay at is always a budget hotel and it always includes breakfast, otherwise we will not stay there. And Airbnbs, camping, we cook our own breakfast. We usually buy one meal out a day in a general rule. One meal out, either lunch or dinner, and we make that a big meal, and we make the other meal small, usually either hand-cooked or mostly made of snacks that we buy ahead of time, because buying an overpriced pretzel in a museum is a lot of money, whereas we can buy a box of granola bars at the grocery store and then keep them in our hotel or our Airbnb and just eat them when we're hungry. So we can save a lot of money on food by doing that. Also, on eating out, you can save a lot of money by not going to the restaurant right across from the museum, but 2 or 3 blocks away from the museum, or whatever tourist attraction you're going to. So if you walk a little bit away where the people that work at the museum are going to go and eat, not where the people who are going to eat, you're going to save yourself a lot of money by not going into the tourist trap, but going to somewhere local. And the food will probably be better. It'll be less expensive, less crowded, and you're gonna get to meet people that are like more not catering to a tourist, but more local. And for us, a big part of why we travel is because we want to experience different cultures, different towns and atmospheres. And so the more we can travel like locals do when they live there, the more we get to see and feel that experience. So I hope that my 10 tips were helpful. I've got tons of more tips, so if you're interested or have questions, feel free to comment down below. I'm going to be coming out with a whole series of videos talking about how we travel for cheap, how we travel in general as college students or as a couple or anything like that. So feel free to ask us questions for us to answer. And also, if you're interested in more travel related content, seeing our travel vlogs, we're headed to Alaska in about 2 weeks. And also just like going on this journey with us to be able to travel more and more each year. Feel free to like and subscribe, as well as head over to our Instagram, because that's where I'm going to be giving away free guides that are our travel budget guides, so that are going to help you plan out your trip on a budget and stick with your budget and just be able to keep yourself really organized. And it's what Dan and I are using to plan our 30-day trip in December, and it's what we use whenever we plan a trip, especially a long trip, so that we can stay to our budget. So I hope you guys like this video. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, comment down below.